Good afternoon. Everyone, welcome back to the Liam and Joe Show. Thank you for joining us on this sunny Thursday afternoon.
It's quite warm actually on the drive
It's
here.
nice out here, yeah. It's quite a nice day.
Warm
It was raining. It was pissing with rain this morning when we drove in.
Oh.
Thank you for coming and joining us on the Liam and Joe Show. We're going to have some fun talking about this particular topic tonight, I think, no doubt. But before we do that, please make sure you go ahead and hit all the magical YouTube buttons for us. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content. Smash subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or drop a new video. Alternatively, a better way of being notified is by being a member of the Great Hall in our Discord server, !member, !gift, if you want to come and get involved in the Great Hall and be part of what I think is one of the greatest 40k communities out there, Joe.
The best, yeah.
The best, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's a better one.
And it's the Liam and Joe Show plus Kyle today.
Yeah.
So if I press this one, yeah, Mr. Kyle's here again because he's got a week off. Because fuck work, because work's boring.
Yeah, week off, so I thought I'd just come here and
give
you guys company.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, your work's boring. Our work's not boring.
No, yeah, my work's pretty boring.
Good save there, Joe.
Yeah, nice.
I love my job.
So today, last night we talked about the new Tau Battlesuit detachment, and we try and pick something relevant on the Liam and Joe Show every Thursday. And I went through the Warhammer community page for like half an hour. I was like, I can't really find anything super relevant, I reckon, to talk about. But it got me thinking about this new Tau box set that is going up for pre-order on Saturday, and the fact that it's full of Crute, right? And when was the last time Tau had really a decent new range of models? We saw Farsight, I think it was, in 9th edition. That was about it for Tau, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had Farsight, and then I think it was 7th edition, end of 6th, start of 7th, when you had like new Crisis Suit, Breaches.
It was quite a while ago.
When the Storm Surge came out as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, Storm Surge and the Stealth Suit lady. Shadow Sun. Yeah, you got those. That's about it, really.
Yeah. So I think that there's a possibility, considering how long ago that was, that Tau players could maybe have got to a point where they think, I've finished my army. And that got me thinking, because with the new Crute box set, that potentially changes that now. Because there's a whole bunch of new ranges, a whole bunch of new models, plus an upgraded range. So the, what's the standard Carnivores, the standard infantry unit, that has been out for a while but was a bit of a shit kit, now has a new fancy plastic kit. Obviously, there is the Farstalkers that came out with Kill Team. Yeah. But potentially Tau players who have been content with their collection for the longest time are now going to go, I need to get all this new Crute stuff and maybe think about this new Crute detachment they showed off on Warhammer TV yesterday. And that got me thinking, do you ever think anyone ever completes collecting Warhammer? And this is the question for the wider group today. This is a question for you guys on chat as well. If you want to, you can stick your questions, answers, queries, comments, anything on big colourful postcards. Mr. Joe, he's getting the hang of this iPad now. Slowly but surely. So he will get to it and he will read them out. We'll get there. But my answer, simplistically, is no. I don't think I've ever had an army I've considered complete. I don't think I've ever stopped wanting to collect new bits. And even if a person has every single unit from every single unit and every single model and every single weapon loadout for that particular army, I think they'll either be tempted to A, start a new army, or B, hey, I can do this weird conversion.
Well, it depends on like the depths in which you want to go. So, for instance, Chaos. For Chaos Space Marines, right? I really like Black Legion, so I got like 30 Terminators and I got the infantry and I got some tanks and stuff. And I was like, I've got over 2,000 points here. Realistically, I don't need any more. But then I'm like, well, Chaos Space Marines can have a unit of Plague Marines, a unit of Berserkers, a unit of Rubric Marines, and a unit of Noise Marines.
Well, can't I have 3 of each of those?
They have 3 of each of those. So that's like 120 more models I need to get, right? And then I'm like, but also I've got Raptors now, like in the black, but in the books sometimes they hang around with like Night Lords or like.
I knew there'd be a tedious Night Lords thing coming in, Joe.
Night Lords or Emperor's Children or World Eaters. So then maybe I have to get like 3 units of Raptors in every Legion colour scheme, or a unit of Raptors in every Legion colour scheme. Yeah.
That's a lot of Raptors, Joe.
But that's what I mean. Like when, but then with Chaos, you're like, well, I've got Chaos Space Marines, but I don't have all the Chaos Space Marines. And then you're like, Do I just then do all 9 legions? Expands out from there all the time.
But that's.
I
want them all.
And then like you could do what Spamalot does, and he goes, "Well, I've got 100 infantry that are Acadians. I've got 100 infantry that are Krieg, and then I got 100 like Frostroyans. Well, there's other regiments. I might as well just get all of them. And then once I've got all of them, I'll make my own.
I mean, you could.
It's never ending.
But that isn't a forced never ending. That's a choice.
That is a choice.
It's a condition.
Right, my vampires, for example. I put my pictures in.
I feel like Joe was the worst person to start talking about this.
Yeah, I put the pictures of my 2 finished characters for my Soul Black Gravelords into Josh for his Tale of Many Hipsters. And he was
that was a tale of many hipsters.
And he was like, I think this is the end of Joe in terms of Soul Black Gravelords because he's done his 2,000 points. I was like, no, I've still got 12 vampire models to do, and I've still got another 30 zombies to do. I still haven't got bats and dogs and corpse. I still haven't got the entire range, basically. And it's like, and even if I did get every single thing that Games Workshop sells now, in a couple months' time, Games Workshop would be like, it's a limited edition vampire model now, because that's what they love doing.
But I mean,
here's a new Shadespire team.
Joe would love it if it was raining bats and dogs. The thing is, though, but this is my point, right? So. If I take World Eaters, for example, it's more conceivable right now that I could, quote unquote, complete World Eaters.
We've almost got a completed Harlequins army as well.
Yeah.
Almost.
For the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we could almost complete World Eaters. And what I mean by that is, if I had 6 units of 10 Berserkers, 3 units of 6 8-bound, 3 units of 6 Exalted 8-bound, 3 Mauler Fiends, 3 Forge Fiends, etc., right? You get where I'm going. I could have 3 Demon Princes of Foot, 3 Demon Princes of Wings. I could have every single data sheet to the max number of data sheets you can have for that particular faction. And then I've got nothing else I can do for World Eaters. And I can include nowadays as well, because of what they did with Legends, I can include viable Forge World units in that list as well. And it's not ridiculous.
No.
But when I asked the question, do we ever finish collecting Warhammer? I don't know. Here's a question for you, chat, and both of you actually. Have you ever met a person who even at that point has gone, I'm done now? Because I feel like most people go, what's the next army I can start?
Well, for me personally, like when I was getting towards finishing my Tyranid army, I had already kind of sown the seeds. I'd already got like the Dark Imperium box for my Death Guard. I got a little warband of Necrons, and I could start this and this. So I was like, well, just in case.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, I just want a complete, nice, beautiful army, put it on the shelf and take.
This is the weird thing, though, right?
This is when I was younger.
You don't look at your Tyranids and go, I'm done. You go, what's the next one?
No, I do. I'm like, oh wait, great. Now I've got these.
Exactly. And I don't know if I've ever known a single person who's gone, I've got one army. Like even Hammerlot. Hammerlot's like Paul Gray, by the way, if he's in chat. Paul's like, I only collect guard. But he hasn't finished.
No.
Like you said, he's got like fucking 4 different regiments of guard now that he's built. And I think that's cool and fun.
And now he's moved on to Halo Guard.
But does anybody actually ever get to a point where they're like, I'm done, unless the rules change?
I've met 1 or 2.
Have you?
Who have gone?
Because I don't think I've met any.
Who've got I've got a Space Marines army, I've got a bit of a guard army, or 2,000 points of guard. I've got a knights, and then they're like, I don't want to do any more. They tend to be quite pretentious people in general. But I'm done now. I am superior being, kind of thing.
I am.
I have cracked the
enlightened.
code. But the thing is, though, what will happen is like for them that what normally means what most people go like, I'm done now, is that they probably might only play 1 game a year.
Yeah, or not if at all. Yeah, I know people that have got like a Black Templar army.
Yeah.
Poorly painted.
But not siege standard.
No, he's got a Black Templar army and he spent hundreds on this thing, and it just sits in the glass cabinet with the light behind it. And
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, so what's, he's like, yeah, I'm done. I was like, "Hey, what's going to be next? He's like, no, I'm done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, no, he goes, that's all I wanted. I was like, well, why them? He's like, oh, they look good, don't they?
I don't think I've ever known anyone who's like, I'm done.
Yeah,
They're super
He's played with
rare
them once,
creatures.
and that was in my garage.
But what normally happens is that there'll be like a couple years, and then like there'll be someone they'll be like, oh, let's go to Warhammer World, and then they'll be like, oh, I like that. That's nice.
Well, so like John just said, I've finished collecting Ultramarines, but then here comes the famous next part, right? As I've realised my mistakes and started a new army or 5.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I the reason why I didn't like limit the title to you'll never finish collecting your army. And I specifically said you'll never finish collecting Warhammer because I feel like even if you if you look at the model range in general, across both 40k Kill Team, AOS, Underworlds, Shadespire, etc., there is literally millions of models. There's tons of them. You'll never, if you get to a point where you collect 3 of every data sheet for every single faction, for every single gaming system, I mean, you won't, it's impossible. But if you got there, then next week JW will release something new and you'd have to keep playing catch up. But I feel like, this is what I'm saying, when a person finishes an army, I've never come across a person I've come across people that says, I'm happy with my Necrons, or I'm happy with my World Eaters, but I've never then heard them go, and I'm done. It then always is followed by, I'm thinking about starting.
Yeah.
And even like Paddy, right? So Paddy, if you watch the game on Tuesday, we bought new demons, which were painted by Paddy. He has 0 intent of actually playing demons.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to collect and paint demons.
Is I've used them and I've gone, I have a list of demands, Paddy, for things. and I'm like, I need Paddy to paint these units for me to use next.
But this is like I say, because I think a lot of people kind of, in general, we kind of shoehorn collecting Warhammer to just people that play the game. But it's not, is it? It's for hobbyists as well.
Oh, well, I know loads of people who've got them just because they like the look of them and because they're good at painting. They've got no interest in playing.
It's actually a hobby.
And then also the other way around as well.
Yeah.
Like people who base spray them and crack on. Like, if that's what you want to do.
Sometimes there'll be a lot of people who've gone, I've got a passion project. I want to do an entire proper company of like Blood Angels, for instance. And they've gone.
I love those people.
And they've gone, I've got the entire 3rd company of Blood Angels. I've got all the characters, all the squads with their markings in their dedicated transports. I've done it. I'm done. Shelf it. And then in a cabinet or just in boxes. Or they just sell it and go, this is my next project.
People that build and collect armies based on narrative choices are my favourite people.
Yeah. Like, I really want to do Eldar, and you've almost broken.
I've heard you say like that 20 times.
I know, but the
the
problem is I've got so much to do. It's one of those ones that like I want to do, but I will probably not get around to do it for a little while.
I'm at a point where I also almost want to let you do it. As long as we can come up with a basing scheme, and I mean one of the bases that I can also do. I'm like, you know what, Joe, fuck it, we can both contribute to an army. That being said, when they're releasing 10 striking scorpions at £45 a box.
I mean, I think it's easier for people to say that they're done when you look at prices like that. And the prices are always like super weird as well. Like you go, 10 striking scorpions for £45, or here's 20 zombies that are £25 or £30.
I'm gonna counter your argument. Yeah. I reckon it's the opposite way round. I reckon it's because it's so expensive, it's harder for people to say they're done because they can't rush through it so quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's going to take them longer to collect all the bits they want or need because of how expensive it is. You know.
And what often happens is, like, I've seen it a lot for people who've been collecting for 10, 15 years, who have got like a Space Wolves army, for instance, and they've gone, I've got all the new Space Wolves stuff in Primaris, and they're always like, looking at my old collection, it's not as good as my current paint job. So I'm going to replace all my old models that I've painted.
I've done that.
With new versions of them. I'm not going to paint strip them. I'll buy just new versions and then just paint them to a better standard, and then I'll just sell the old ones off. Kind of thing.
I've done. Yeah. Like, I've definitely looked at old models I painted, but like, they're not up to my current standard, and got rid of them.
My Chaos Space Marines is a prime example. I had a Chaos Space Marine army I did for 2 years, and then recently, after doing the World Eaters, I was like, I want to do them again. I'm not happy with the base scheme.
I literally I can't remember what the company was called. There's a company on Facebook. My old Tyrion army were done in Leviathan, and I started painting some just behemoth ones just because why not? And I realised that actually my painting got a lot better, so I sold the lot on this site, wherever it was. They just take the lot. Well, what you got? They go, yeah.
Like Troll Trader or whatever.
I think that might have been what it was.
Yeah.
And there was some towel in there and just bits from like when I was a kid and that. And yeah, I did the exact same thing. Like, I would completely start again. But when you were saying about like the fact that the hobby and the collecting part never finishes, you also got because the data slates and everything, because the rules are the rules, but you know, they're taking the change in the edges like all the time. Say for example, taking with Tyranid, say you've got 3 Maliceptors, right? but suddenly you realise that they're just no good anymore.
Yeah.
And so like you've built them, and if you wanted to stay WYSIWYG and have competitions or whatever, then you've got to get 3 more
To build the other variant.
to build the other variant. Like, it's just, but that's obviously not just for Tyranids. That's for
We talked about
for
this.
all models.
We talked about this briefly last night with Tau as well. So Tau used to be able to take on crisis suits any weapon systems that they wanted, basically in any combination. And I know a lot of people, myself included, are people that would have glued those weapon combinations because I can't stand magnets.
I don't like magnets either.
I cannot stand magnetizing, and it's a me issue. Chat, I'm aware. I don't like it when I move my fucking model across the table that the fucking weapon starts spinning around. I play with Deggs' sisters, and I love the army, and he's done a cracking job of painting them. But I get bored of I've moved a sacrosanct and the spears fell off and the shit. Like I hate magnets, so I glue.
And they stick to each other.
So if I'd have built, and I was one of those people that would have been like, I would have been the person that would be like, I want 1 fusion, 1 flamer, and 1, I don't know, plasma gun, because I like the cool versatility narrative rather than the optimized loadout. Well, that would be now a model that I can't use anymore in the new data. Well, that's a lie. They have specifically stated they've released a Legends data state, so you can still use your old loadouts.
Yeah.
So they haven't invalidated them. And I actually think kudos to Games Workshop for doing that.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, Legends is the Warhammer unit graveyard. That's where it goes to die. So I would have to now, if I'd have had 3 crisis seats, I'd have had to buy another set so I can build the proper loadouts, the 2 fusions, the 2 plasma, whatever. So, that's another reason why data sheets and data slates change, and you have to kind of replace stuff you've bought potentially, unless you're brave enough. You probably would be brave enough to cut, snip, break it off, and glue other bits back on.
I have done it a few times, but not many, where I have just gone, off it comes. Or what I tend to do, like for instance, like I've got 20 painted Kasrkin at the moment. I've got a box at home, but the Kasrkin I do currently have, I've got 2 volley guns in. But I can also have 2 melter guns in those now. Okay. So what I can do now is, with the new box, build 6 melter guns, 2 volley guns, and then move 4 of those melter guns into the other 2 squads, and move those infantry into there, and I'm like, oh, that's the max one. But then I'm like, buy a 4th box now, and then make all the other weapon options. Or that's the weapon. And then the other option, right, is the fact is like, say for instance, for obviously Chaos Space Marines, we know their book is going to come eventually, and I'm like, I'm going to build the units I want to build now because I like them, but then I'm like, but I don't want to build too much and really commit to specific weapon options because I don't know if Games Workshop is going to change them. So then you kind of put an army on pause, don't you, until you know the future for it.
Well, I also think
there's
also a strong degree of putting things on pause because the next cool thing comes out. So I'm like, and I know I'm one of the worst for this, and I think one of the reasons, like, I think people take the piss, but a lot of people probably sit there and go, I'm just like this. Like, I'm working on World Eaters and Dark Angels in terms of building models at home. And I'm like, this is what I'm doing. These are the armies I'm focusing on. And then the Kroot box comes out, which I didn't know was coming, I didn't expect. And you see that box and you think, I want some of that action in my life. I think GW do a good job of that, actually. They do a good job of releasing things that are cool and interesting enough to keep you hooked in and keep you buying that new thing. How many people at home can honestly put their hand up and say, I've got no grey plastic shame at home?
I've got so much.
Exactly.
I've got so many Necrons on my floor.
We've all got, and take the channel away, before I even had the channel, I had so much grey plastic at home. I never ever was in a point where I didn't have a kit that wasn't built or at least not painted.
I had that magical point once.
Lies.
During lockdown.
Lies and slander.
When the only army I had in lockdown was Drakari. And we knew lockdown was coming, so I painted everything I had, and then there was a 2-week period where I had nothing left. I'd literally done everything. And then I was like, lockdown is like they announced the date that it was going to happen. So I bought 9 Talos. Because I didn't have any Talos. So I was like, 9 Talos.
Yeah.
And then during lockdown, I built and painted 9 Talos. And then during lockdown, I found a bunch of people selling those awful old box sets. Because I've got no Hellions. The Hellions are really cool. I just bought 30 Hellions on eBay.
What happened?
And then I just had loads of plastic.
What happened with that Drakari army, Jay?
I sold it.
Yeah. What happened? What are you now thinking about Drakari, Jay?
I want to do Drakari. Basically, I can't get a new Drakari army justifiably. But what I can do is rebase and repaint everything.
We
that
can
currently
do a new Drukhari army in the future. But the one we've currently got is filling a good gap.
Yeah, but it's not
I
mine.
spent like a year and a half of just finding and buying up armies that we could that don't give us the most options and don't give us loads of variation, but at least gives us the chance to play the faction.
I think the problem is I sold mine and I have a lot of regrets. And this is kind of like the same colour scheme. It's like if you owned a Porsche, which was blue, and then you sold it and bought a Fiat Punto that was blue. You're like, it's just the same colour. It drives, it does the same job, it's just not as cool.
I don't know where he's going, Kyle.
And that's why I don't like that. Because it's not my Porsche.
But it plays the same.
Yeah, but a Punto still drives around.
A Punto does not drive the same as a Porsche.
No, but it still drives the speed limit. It still goes on the motorways. It still does all the same
Four
things.
wheels.
Yeah. It's still got the same models.
I get the feeling you're not a car person.
I just
That might have been a bad comparison.
but they
Well, you
do
go
the
on it and
same
it goes
job.
brrr.
Yeah, but a bicycle and a motorbike have got two wheels and they go on the same road. They still do the job that you need them to do.
No, they
to
don't.
get you from A to B.
No, they don't.
You know nothing.
No,
It's
they
just
don't.
tools.
No, they don't. A bicycle and a motorbike don't do the same job. One, you have the pedal to
Yeah,
start with.
but it's still a thing that rolls around. Right?
So are you.
Yeah. I am like a bicycle.
You're like one of
I,
those Weeble Wobble man.
Yeah.
Just like a bicycle.
I just don't. It's just not mine. That's why I don't like our Drukhari army.
All I've got now is Gino De Campo in my head. That's
Yeah.
all I've got.
Super chats.
If Joe had wheels, he'd be a bike.
Sexy bike. Right. Thank you, Nordos44 for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Dag Skippy for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Evan Tominello for 1 gifted membership.
That's 7.
There are more to come.
Oh.
Thank you, Dave B. Liam, are you cloning Joe? Is Joe 2 in glasses?
No, JT's more attractive.
I find that the clones just get worse as they go
He gets
along.
much nicer haircuts.
He gives nicer haircuts.
No, he gets nicer
I
haircuts.
give nice head massages.
I'm glad you added that last word.
I'm sure, like,
But before Watershed, so I had to.
The thing is, Dave, I just have to bring people in slightly less attractive than me. It's the rule.
yeah.
He's failing.
And then he beats us.
Yeah. In all the places I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Crumpets Panda. For the super chat, how many hobbies do people finish? The journey and self-improvement is surely the point of having a hobby like this.
I feel like that's actually quite a fair question. I feel like it maybe not be, unique to just Warhammer, but just a hobby in general. Because I feel like one of the things that makes a hobby attractive to you is something that you can continuously and keep doing for time, right? Because can you ever actually complete a hobby?
Well, no.
Knitting. Can you complete knitting?
A hobby's not about the product, it's about the doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, the
People
journey,
like crocheting
exactly.
and knitting because they enjoy the process, not
Yeah.
what the product they get out of it.
But like, if you let's say your hobby was rock climbing, for sake of argument,
Yeah.
right? Because it's one of those things that people love sticking on fucking social media nowadays. Let's say it's rock climbing, right? And let's say you climb the biggest mountain in the world,
Yeah.
whatever that might be. I don't know what it is, Everest,
Everest, yeah.
right? Have you then completed climbing?
Yeah.
Have you though?
It's like the same things like golf, right? If you could get a perfect game of golf every time, all 18 holes, you completed it.
But you haven't completed it because the next time you play 18, you don't know you're going to get a perfect game.
Joe's literally at the end of the 18s going, well, I've got the platinum trophy, I'm done now, I'm going home.
But
done.
then you
You'd be
don't-
like, I'm going to try and get 2 holes with 1 ball.
but you could get it. I'm sure you've tried that, Joe, haven't
Yeah.
you?
That was a long Tuesday night.
But I feel like if you, even in that scenario, right, you go to the next course, you stand there on the first tee, you have no idea at that point that you're going to hit a perfect game. And you can hit 20 perfect games, and on the 21st time, you still don't know for definite.
Yeah, but at the end of the 20, you're like, I'm done now.
But are you though?
I can chill out.
I
It's
know.
like when Leicester won the Premier League, They don't have to push anymore. They don't have to do anymore.
But they do.
Why?
Because the new season, they don't remain champions forever. They have that trophy. But
in
they
our
don't-
hearts, they do. But but surely that's like the end goal, right? So for a painter in our hobby, Your end goal was, I want to win Golden Demon.
Right, so my friend Martin, he got upset the other week because I didn't name drop him. My friend Martin's won a Slayer Sword, right?
Yeah.
Which is the highest accolade you can win at Golden Demon.
Yeah.
It means not only did you win the gold for Golden Demon, but you won best on the day.
Yeah.
He carried on doing competition painting afterwards.
Yeah.
And the next time he didn't get another Slayer Sword. It's not like your golf analogy. And he won other trophies and he kept competing. And even now, he stopped entering Golden Demon, but he still paints for fun and for his hobby.
Yeah.
So your kind of your goal for your hobby is to get to the top and then you can quit. That's not how it works for people,
You
Jay.
move on to another hobby.
That's not how it works. That's not what happens. Fuck me.
You can still do it, I
Jack of all
suppose.
trades, master of none. That's what I think about.
Nonsense. It's nonsense. That's not how it works.
But it's like I won a GT, right?
Oh, he's never mentioned it.
But the thing is, I don't have the compulsion to win another one because I'm like,
And there's the excuse.
but no, it's like it's too much effort. It's too much hard work.
Well, you didn't. It wasn't effort the last time. You just took the Meta Army and went and won it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just take the Meta Army then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I won it. I got the award, and that was like a couple of years ago. I'm like, but that to me, that award almost doesn't mean anything.
Just Monk Car Crisis spam and next GT and you win.
Yeah, but it's not. I think it's like Call of Duty, right? Competitive Call of Duty. Just take the best gun and the best loadout and have the best skin. And
Well, okay, right.
The best
but
chair,
I'm going to
and
argue with that again as well. What's the best gun?
whichever one you're best with, I suppose.
Exactly. So it's different. So there is no such thing as a best gun. Is there? Because you can look at, like, if you
I hate arguing.
take Call of Duty, for example,
Yeah.
right? You can take a meta app that shows you the meta weapons, the ones that the majority of people are using, and look at the percentage of people using them. It's not 100% to start with. And the reason being is I can build a meta weapon on Call of Duty, and I can use it, and I'm dog shit with it, and I might be much better with a different weapon. So even then, that doesn't
Top
reign true.
weapon, RAM 9, but then you actually might be better with the ISO 9mm.
Exactly.
Like, it's no different.
You don't complete hobbies. You can't complete a hobby. I don't think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Chat can argue. Chat can tell me otherwise.
What
I
about
don't
people
think
that
you-
just stop hobbies?
See, you can stop a hobby, but it doesn't necessarily mean you've completed it.
No,
That means that you've given
can't
up that
stop
hobby.
a hobby. You're not allowed.
You can't stop this hobby. You can't stop the gifting membership hobby chat. All 219 of you now go.
Yes, Rambo. So Joe's logic, he won a tournament, so he doesn't need to compete ever again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I have to do.
Yeah.
Finish
I
on
still
top.
play
It's
Warhammer
like a
for
boxer
fun.
winning the heavyweight champion of the world, stopping there like, I never lost.
Yeah. This is why he's like this now, Rambo. Once he got to 12 stone. Don't need to try anymore. Just keep eating.
Got a girlfriend, done. Yeah. I don't have to impress anyone. Now I can slowly turn into a sofa. It'd be fine.
You're currently at the cuddle chair stage.
I am couch.
Yeah.
Oh, hot takes from Jay. My opinion is, and I'm happy for you guys to argue, especially if they're on postcards. My opinion is, you can't ever actually complete a hobby.
Well, it depends on what you're in the hobby for, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, true,
Like,
true.
if you just like painting and your only goal is to paint, then this is what you can do forever, isn't it? Really.
But I think we're talking about slightly different things though. There's a difference between a hobby and a goal,
Yeah.
right? Fucking hell.
You've upset the dog.
Died on the floor. So there's a difference between a hobby and a goal. So your goal can be to win a Golden Demon,
Yeah.
right? And you can win a Golden Demon. You have completed your goal, but that's still your hobby. You haven't completed your hobby. You just completed a goal within that hobby. You can win a GT, right? You've completed a goal to win a GT, but your hobby is still competitive 40k. There's still more things that you could do in that hobby. There's more things you can chase, more records you can
Yeah.
chase.
Become a streamer.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the pinnacle.
Become an online beggar. Right.
You can climb Everest and you've completed a goal. But you haven't completed your hobby because there's millions of other mountains you could
Anyway, people that do that as a hobby, lunatics.
climb. What, climbing Everest?
Yeah.
You won't catch me anywhere near it, Joe.
Yeah.
No.
Like, what is the point of a hobby which you have to exert yourself to the point where you nearly die?
Because it's pushing your body beyond limits to do things and see things that people
So
have
But,
done
he
before.
does that with the fucking studio stairs.
Yeah. I am peak performance at those stairs.
Like it's the same reason. Okay, like painting. Why do people do painting? Not because they want to be the best at it, because they want to express themselves.
Normally it's because it stops me from trying to kill people.
What, painting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I do painting for my job, and I still paint in the evenings because
You
it's
ask
relaxing.
most people who have a hobby that is a physical one, i.e., cross country running, anything like that. 9 times out of 10, you say to them, "Why do you do it?" They'll never say, because I want to be the best at it. They do it because just because I want to do it. I want to do it for myself. And there's nothing wrong with that.
We're weirdos.
I feel like one day we could get you to be a cross-country runner.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I hate running.
On a fucking, what's the fucking thing called? Is it a Segway?
No, we'll get him running. Yeah. I'll get you on your bike. We'll strap a donut to a string. Go chase. Or a monster.
Why would I chase a...
The last kind of monster in the world. Strap to it.
This logic is flawed. I just go and buy one.
Not if it's the last kind of monster in the world,
See,
Joe.
when you said a donut, I first thought of like the big inflatable ones for the things. He's just sat in the back of it like that with his little drink, his little monster can.
Little legs going, there's a bump on the ground.
Flintstones.
Do you want to carry on, Joe? I love you.
Fucking hate this job. Right. Thank you, Harbon. I have 17 40k armies, 4 AOS, 4 Old World armies, and I'm not done. I don't consider those armies fully done. No.
That is a lot of armies.
How many armies do you have?
I don't
For you
know.
personally?
For me personally, 3 maybe, 4.
How many ongoing do you have?
All of them?
All of them.
I don't finish anything ever.
No, I finished them for him.
How many do you have? That's not channel ones.
There's not channel ones.
Yeah.
I've got the Soul Blight.
That's basically yours. So you're going to use it on
That's
Joe as
basically
yours.
mine.
Oh, yeah, I mean the ones that you've done for yourself, but they are here. They count.
The
They're
Chaos
still yours.
Space Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flesh Terrors.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of do them for yourself. Okay.
Tyranids, which I started because you had them lying around.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do them.
Good.
And I was like,
But then it exploded because they were the launch box
Yeah.
army.
I've got
Herpes.
the Soul Blight Bretonians.
That sounds like you're
I had a
asking,
conversation with...
that sounds
with-
like you're asking permission.
I had a conversation with my sponsor last night, my Bretonian sponsor, and I was like, they're yours. And he was like, no, they're yours, mate. So, Bretonians, I got 5.
The Bretonians aren't his.
Guard. I started the Valhalla. You may have helped me finish them, but I started them.
So it's not unreasonable from what he said. From what he has, it's not unreasonable because you do. You go.
I don't think. Do you know what? For most people that don't have a studio like this, the only issue that they'd have
Space.
with what Hardborn's got is literally space.
Space.
100%.
Mine was money. So until this job, I'd have an army, and if I wanted a new army, I'd have to sell the old one.
What do you think?
To buy the new one.
What do you think is a reasonable amount of time to collect a reasonable sized army? So I think we've kind of probably all agreed you never strictly ever complete an army. You can say in your head that it's done, and then GW go, here's this new unit, and you'll go, ooh.
I've got a good example for that.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, like a lot of people know that I'm collecting Death Guard at the minute. So I started 2 years ago, and I haven't reached 2,000 points yet.
Interesting.
And
'Cause
bear
I feel
in mind, at least once a month, I'm buying a box of something.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't got 2k points. Obviously, for the sake of this, I do because they're here. But me personally, at home, I do not.
But
So that's nearly 3 years.
how long do you reckon it would take you if you weren't doing this for a job and a living? Because you've been in this situation in the past where you
Yeah.
weren't doing this for a job and a living. How long do you reckon it would take you to collect a reasonable size 40k army that you'd be playing with?
So for instance, I sold my army, I could probably get over 2,000 points worth. Because how I tend to approach things is like, how can I do this cost effectively?
Yeah, but time-wise.
Time-wise, probably buy all of it in one go.
Okay.
So I would have sold my army from before. I'd have the money for that, and then I'd just buy everything I needed to start off with. So I'd do like 2,500 points, and then I'd just build it and paint it in a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks?
Oh yeah,
If this wasn't your job. If you had a normal job.
I'd get it done.
I think you're
So
talking shit
if
there.
so if you've already got it all and you're painting it, that's one thing. But if you're trying to collect it over, like
If
you
you're
don't
not,
magically just have it all on your table.
if you're someone who hasn't just sold an army, doesn't have the money sitting there, you probably go start collecting box 1 month, start collecting a box next month, and then additional unit.
a box of Space Marines, a librarian, and then like, you'll do it because obviously you got to think like
You
splash
say-
out £100 a month on models.
It also depends on your financial situation. If you're on minimum
of course.
wage, you might be like, I could afford £30.
It's actually a really interesting question that I've never thought about. So interestingly, you're going, I'd sell something, I'd buy it in one go, I'd build it and paint it.
Yeah.
Kyle's a person who collects a box a month, and it's taking him close to 2 years to collect the army.
Yeah.
I reckon I do in between both of you, actually. I buy like 4 boxes, then I buy maybe 2-3 months later, another 4 boxes, and then, so I do it differently.
Sorry, go on.
I like to get it all. This is because of my personal preference. I like to get the entire. So, like the White Scars, for instance, I like to get it all together, built and based on a table, done. So I've got the whole army there. This is now in a playable condition. Mm-hmm. So I can go to my mate's house. I can play with it. I can do stuff, and then I just start painting it.
So I would do that if I could. Like in an ideal world, I would literally be like, right, I'm going down to Element or GW Element though. We're going to go down to
Exclamation mark element.
I'm going to go down to Element and I'm going to go, right, so I'm going to get my entire Death Guard army. Here's all my boxes. Thank you very much. I'm going to go home. I'm going to build the lot, spray, base, spray, the whole works.
Yeah.
And then just paint the lot as in my own time. But it's usable, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, of course.
But for me personally, I can't do that right now. So it's more of a case of I'm doing one a month. Like, for example, I've just bought a Lord of Virulence. So now I'll paint that. And then when that's done, next month I'll get another box of whatever, probably a bit of Playbrats crawler now.
Do you find the? Oh, by the way, just quickly, Stick Monkey, thank you for the 5 gifted. I'm going to shout that one out right now because unlike Josh, I'm not going to ignore you when you give memberships. Thanks so much, Stick Monkey.
I mean, we've got a whole list.
I mean, you did try and give 10 yesterday to him. I'm just throwing that out there, and we get 5. But you know, thanks anyway. Do you find, partly because of the cost, that you run out of hobby?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Before I started doing this,
Yeah. Well, you saw our stock room.
well, no, because I've got stuff. I've got stuff at the minute that I'm working on for the channel and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, before I started doing this, I would literally, like for example, before I met you guys, I was working on my Tyranids.
Yeah.
So, and the Leviathan box was just come out, but before that, I was doing. I think my last model I did was my Swarm World. I finished the Swarm World in like 3 days, if that. And then I was just kind of sat there looking at them all like, well, I've got to wait till next month now.
Wait till payday.
Yeah, because I can't justify.
Chat, how many? This is interesting. 220. This is a genuinely interesting question because I think we're in a very privileged and lucky position at the moment because our hobby becomes a business expense for the channel. So it's significantly easier for me. Excuse me. Significantly easier for me to justify purchasing model kits for armies for the channel. I do have these little moments where I'm like, that's what I want. That makes more sense for the channel.
Yeah.
Right, I have that still, and
you
I have to make a choice. But I think it's easy. I think sometimes with the cost of living crisis, we sort of sit outside that bubble a little bit because of the channel and because it's essentially a business expense to try and bring you guys more varied, interesting, different content. How many of you, because of the cost of things nowadays, find that you run out of hobby and have to wait to buy the next hobby? I'm just interested. If you don't want to share, don't share, obviously.
I think, like, if I was starting AOS fresh, because I was looking at Cities of Sigmar,
Yeah.
obviously I got my vampire army, which is now going to be like a slow burn in the background. I do the odd few units. So I was like, my next idea is do Cities of Sigmar. I was like, how do I get to 2,000 points relatively quickly with the units I want to get? And I really want that Canis and Toll box set. Callus and Toll. The Bounty Hunter team, which has got like the Witch Hunter.
Is it the one that you can't get anywhere at the moment?
Yeah, it literally went
Like
on
rocket
Saturday.
or shit.
It went out on Saturday.
Yeah.
Beautiful box set, 6 models. It's 45 quid for 6 just named characters, which probably aren't going to even be that great. Same for like the Black Talon box set. It's like 6 models, 45 quid. It's not like you're buying a unit.
You're making
like,
Striking Scorpions sound like value, Joe.
I know. Striker Scorpions are value in comparison to 10 Banshee.
I mean, yes, that's true.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
So like when I looked at that, and I thought like, oh, it's like a couple characters. It might be like a Shade Spire team. So in my head, I was like, 30 quid, 25, 30 quid, because that's what a Shade Spire team normally comes with. That's 4 to 6, between 4 and 10 models, depending on size, plus cards. I thought that's what I had in my head. And then I looked at the website, I was like, 45 quid, no thank you. So then I was like, well, I have to wait for that to come out. But then it might just sell out straight away. And then just be rarer than Rocking Horse poo. So it's just like, meh.
It's interesting. I'm just skimming chat. So I was listening to you. I think sometimes even with it being a business expense, I get very annoyed when I see some of the pricing. genuinely, because I'm like, oh, I place, maybe I'm just being unfair, maybe I'm just being optimistic, but I place a value on something, because often we'll see the box before they release the price. So we've seen the towel box. Now, I'm allowed to tell everyone we have the towel box. I can't tell anyone about anything in it, and I can't show it. But I'm allowed to tell everyone we have the towel box. I clarified this with GW when they were in the studio 2 weeks ago. We have the towel box. What I don't know is what cost it's going to be.
No.
We never, as previewers, we never get given the cost. We never see the cost until the day it goes up for pre-order. And I've asked for these details in the past. Yeah. I'm like, I can give you a better preview and a better kind of review of this product if I know the price.
Yeah.
Like I could tell you.
How is the Dark Angels one come out yet?
The Dark Angels one been out for a while, yeah.
How much was that?
125, was it?
Yeah, around that.
And what did you get in the box?
You got 5 Deathwing Knights, 10 Deathwing Terminators, Belial, the book, the cards.
It'll still be cheaper than all of it individually.
And it's the collector's edition book every time, isn't it?
In the box set, yeah. But collector's edition is kind of not really collector's edition.
The weird thing, yeah, it's an odd one, because the collector's edition that comes in 135 was for.
I was just looking for it now. Okay, 135.
But what's mad is that would be cheaper than buying those things individually. The sad thing is that the collector's codex that comes in that box set doesn't get sold separately.
No.
Which is weird, because it means you get this weird kind of second-hand market.
So when I was looking at getting some Seraphon for Age of Sigmar, I wanted to get the Battle Tome and stuff. And we were looking at that.
We're trying to find the limited box.
I thought, well, if I'm going to get it, I want to get this collector's edition one. It's all fancy. It's all, really gold and blue and all beautiful. But that book only came with this one collector's box.
Yeah.
That's been sold out for years.
So chat, some of you doing it already, right? Tell me serious answers, because I've seen you, Kai. Serious answers. You've seen the towel box, right? The towel box has, I'm not going to get the names right. There's 2 Kroot characters. I think one's called a Shaper, one's called something else.
Yeah.
There's 3 Kroot people riding big pigs.
Yeah.
There's 20 carnivores.
Yeah, a Krutox.
A Krutox, and I think that's it. Yeah, two characters, 2 characters, 20 infantry, 1 Krutox, and 3 big pig riders.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's in the Kroot box, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and impact your decision here. Serious answers. In Great British pounds, how much do you reckon that's going to be? Is my honest answer.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be about 125, 130 quid. I think they would have been more if it had Tau in it. If it came with Fire Warriors or the Crisis Suits, or if it came with a Shadow Summon, anything, I think it would have bumped it up more. But I think if they're clever about it, they'll make it a bit cheaper, because they've released a Tau Codex with only
It is
Kroot
interesting
in the
they've
collector's box.
done a box set which is all new models. It's rare for them to do that. Unless they're releasing a whole new army like Seas of Sigmar.
135, 125, 150, 145, 135, 140, 135, 115 retail, 135, 13. Okay, so a lot of people think it's going to be the same price as the Dark Angels box.
But
so
is it the same value?
Is it the same value? Now, that depends on where you place your value.
Because you can say the same with all the Start Collecting boxes and what's the new one called? Combat Patrol boxes.
Combat Patrol, yeah.
So you can say that with them. Can you really tell me that they are all worth the same amount?
Well, it depends on how you place value, doesn't it?
I'm not talking about monetary.
So if you look at I think that if the average of what you guys are showing me is about 135, same as Dark Angels box. I'm inclined to agree. I reckon it'll be about that. And like I said, hands up. I do not know what they're going to cost. 100% promise you, I don't know what they're going to cost. Have to wait until Saturday at 10 a.m. when they go on pre-order before I even know how much they cost. And I want one for myself, to be clear, right?
Yeah.
I reckon £135 is probably roughly where it's going to sit. At that point, then are they value? Now, there's 2 ways you can approach this, I think, in terms of value. And you could approach it from model quality, and you can approach it from tabletop points, army points. Now, for me personally, £135 for that towel box, if we just attack it from model quality, worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the models are stunning.
They are. The sculpts are great.
From what I've seen so far on images, models gorgeous.
Yeah.
Worth it. Points, they're Kroot. I can't imagine they're going to have a monumental glow up from their old rules.
They're going to be squishy.
They'll be worth about 7 points for the whole box.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the similar
Just 7 actually.
Just 7 points.
If you look at think about points and value, right? You look at the Deathwing box set. You've got, was it 15 Terminators in the character?
50 Terminators in Belial, yeah.
Yeah. So 50 Terminators in a character. The Guard one, 20 infantry and artillery or two pieces of artillery, a command squad, and a sentinel.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think it was Nick Baton said in the article when the Dark Ages box came out, you can buy 2 of these boxes and a Land Raider, and you've basically got 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Which is great marketing. Genuinely, like, that's cool marketing. I love it. I'm a fan of it, right? And it's true. 2 boxes and a Land Raider, you've basically got 2,000 points. I'm like, okay, do that with this Croup box. How many of those boxes are you going to need?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and where does it stop? Like, so obviously, what the codexes they've already announced for the rest of the year, what they were Chaos Space Marines.
Well, it's just, they don't up to summer. So
Their roadmap in
So
general.
Chaos Space Marines is the last one that they announced.
For spring,
I think.
wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is that one going to be the same, or is that just going to be a Hellbrute?
I reckon.
Or whatever it is that they decide
Part of
to
me
put in
thinks it's just going to be a character in a book.
Yeah, they won't get. I don't think they'll get an army box.
No.
You don't think so you don't think they're going to do this with every codex?
No.
Well,
Well, they didn't do it with Necrons. They
Admech didn't get it.
Yeah, they didn't do it with Admech. They did it with Necrons. They didn't do it with Tyranids. They didn't do it with Space Marines.
I mean, technically, Tyranids and Space Marines had the Leviathan box.
They did.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Necrons.
Didn't get it.
They got like 4 characters.
Yeah,
I think of what they had.
they got.
Did they have the kill team in this one? Was that last year?
As last year. Necrons got the new Overlord. They got Mr. What's his name with the staff?
The
Stormlord, Imatech,
yeah.
Stormlord, and another
Cryptek.
cryptic. Yeah.
And then like Admech got Stiltman.
I mean, if you're an Admech player right now in 40k,
I remember when they announced, because my old roommate was an Admech collector, and I remember seeing that reveal. I messaged him straight like, good.
Games Workshop just gave Admech players the biggest.
No, my favourite one
finger
is like
ever.
looking at like gone online afterwards, just seeing all like the orcs and stuff that people put stilts on. Like, look, Admech.
if you look at poor old Admech players, if you look at the model release they had in the codex that they got given, Games Workshop just told Admech players to bend over, spat on both, and just double fisted constantly, and that's all that happened.
We are using your tears
That
for
was
lube,
it.
and your tongue is a break.
That's all you're getting. Stiltman and a shit book.
Yeah.
And then the first balanced data set that comes out after is like, we haven't got enough data.
It's because that codex needs an entire rewrite.
Which is a shame because it's just come out.
Slight tangent on the Admech book. Thinking, someone was asking me about it. They could just change the points. I was like, they can't, because an Admech army now fills more than the entire deployment zone. If you make it any cheaper, right, you have to take half of your points on infiltrating units.
The other thing as well
To
is,
fill up
though,
half the
Jay,
table.
The other thing as well is, and I don't know if GW actually think about this or not. I'd like to think they do. I don't know if they do. But the other thing as well is, if you make Admech that much more cheaper, who are already point for pound probably one of the most expensive armies to collect right now, you basically price people out of being able to collect Admech.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like the best thing they probably could do is give everything +1 ballistic skill, +1 strength, and +1 AP, just to start off with.
Yeah, something.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they need to stop, not mess with the points anymore. They just need to make the models better.
Yeah.
Not physically, but
Which is a shame. I love the Admech narrative, by the way. I want Admech to be cool.
Well, you never know. Like they made a real subtle fix to Votan, and then they became one of the better armies.
Yeah.
But they were in a points position where you could drop the points and change the rules.
Yeah.
Whereas Games Workshop's got the issue of like we've got a brand new book which is basically needs a rewrite.
And then we come into something that we talked about a little bit last night. I don't want to tumble down a negative rabbit hole here, but this is something I talked about briefly last night. The problem that GW has, they will not stop print. They will not stop selling books, and I don't think and I think the data cards are a good idea. Genuinely think data cards are a good idea.
Yeah.
But they won't stop selling books because it makes them a lot of money. And I've had this conversation, it makes them a fair amount of money selling books. The problem they have with print is how quickly they then invalidate it because they do a bad job testing and playtesting. And whoever their playtesters are should all be lined up, and then someone with studs on should give them a quick Rochambeau all the way down the line. They should all have a swift kick in the nuts because they've done a terrible job at balancing all of this stuff. And we can tell that with the difference between Index Eldar compared to Codex Admech. Right? They've just done a bad job. So if they did a better job in the first instance of those rules, and I'm not expecting them to get it perfect, they'll never get it perfect. I accept they'll never get it perfect. 40k is too big. I think anyone who asks them to get their rules all perfect for every faction and all balanced is on absolute crack. It's never going to happen. No. And I don't need everything to be perfectly balanced and perfect for me to enjoy the game. I'm having so much fun right now anyway. But I think that being in a place where printed rules are safer gives people less feels bad. Because if you buy a fancy codex, a limited edition codex, because it's your favourite faction, and then within, I don't know, 3 months because of a balanced data set, it completely invalidates your codex because they did a bad job.
Yeah.
In my opinion, a company that's making 90 million fucking quid a quarter should go back to you and go, "That's our fault. We did a bad job. Here's a free reprint."
Well, it's like
Yeah, sure.
I was talking to a Tyranid player at Beachhead, and he says it's awful being a Tyranid player at the moment. He goes in the last year, like he said, in the last year, my Tyranids went from being pointless to the most broken army in the game, and then being brought down a bit, so they're playable but fun, to basically being made terrible, and then they're good again, and now they're kind of terrible again.
Tyranids have literally been like that.
It's just been absolute sine wave of play. And he goes, but like Space Marine players, just like that, boop, perfectly fine. And he's like, this is awful being a Tyranid player kind of thing. Same for Admech, subpar, most broken army in the game, nerfed into oblivion. Index okay, Codex.
Yeah, exactly. Darker, I see your comment, and I agree. I'm not going to read it out. I agree. Jake's now reading it.
Which one?
A Darker's comment near the top.
Thank you, Brendan Legas, for 5 gifted memberships.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird that those people as well also typically have the new broken thing just before a tournament, just before the rules come out.
Yeah.
Weird.
Or they have the best version of their army for the first tournament available.
Yeah, weird how that works, isn't it?
And based.
It's strange that, yeah.
And they said that book was fine before it was even released. Right. There's nothing wrong with it.
Weird that, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Strange, yeah.
Imagine playing an army for a whole edition just before helping an army come out, and then everyone says it's broken, then all of a sudden it's like that army never existed to you. Right. Thank you, Lehman Russ.
You petty bitch.
I have completed my Iron Hill Lord for my ring for the ring. Hang on. There's no commas or anything in here, so it's thrown me a bit. I have completed my
Cletus.
Iron Hill Lord of the Ring army, and it's 5k.
5,000 points.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm
It
assuming
doesn't
Iron Hill
cost
Dwarfs.
5k.
But, Mr.
Oh, no.
Lemus,
Lord of the Rings dwarf army will cost you $5,000.
this is the reason.
From
Yeah,
Forge World.
this is the
It's
reason
not
why I specifically stated you'll never finish collecting Warhammer, because you might have finished that particular army, but I bet you're still collecting stuff.
Yeah.
I put money on it.
Thank you, Evan Tominello. I don't think you ever stop collecting. As long as you are passionate, you keep going. It's a good rule of life there. You keep,
100%.
you keep going. New units, new armies, etc. I started Tau, made it past 3,000, and then started Orcs. Pushed past 3k of Orcs in 2 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Talking about pushing past 3,000, exclamation mark gift.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I find that people that play Orcs are very passionate about Orcs.
People that play Orcs are very passionate about Orcs, apart from Brom.
Yeah.
That meta pusher.
Who's trying to use Orcs and be like, I have a personality, honest.
He used yeah, he's using Orcs to push me to the point where I will kill a man.
Yeah, you will.
Thank you, Kev Thacker. Thought I'd finished my Word Bearers army last year. Then I found hidden away in my many parts boxes 60 guard/cultists and just bought 20 beastmen. Thank the gods for contrast paint. Yeah.
If you know how to use, honestly, if you know how to use contrast paint properly, check out War Hipsters guides. If you know how to use contrast paint properly, that stuff is a godsend.
I've got
Herpes.
yeah. I've got a rather substantial chaos army. I think I'm not a big fan of cultists, but I'm like, I do feel like I should get some for like narrative stuff.
Well, do you know what the danger has been with the Dark Angels I've been collecting? Is like World Eaters is a bit of a godsend because you're kind of restricted because there's not that many data sheets.
Yeah.
The dangerous thing with things like the Dark Angels is it opens up the whole Space Marine Codex to you. And I'm like, oh my,
Yes.
that could become a big army.
I think for me, the contrast paints for me, the models that they've really helped me with are actually the Poxwalkers.
Oh, I bet.
Because doing like I think I did one or two with just hand, like without the contrast. I thought I'm going to just give it a go, and I ended up spraying them black again. And right, contrast for all 30. Let's go. It's just what
contrast is amazing.
It changes it every, like just for the skin tones. At least.
So I painted a Hormigant from, I think it was, I can't remember what the colour scheme was. Kronos. Hopefully Kronos. Yeah. And I followed Warhips' contrast guide for that, and it made the experience didn't feel like I actually felt like I could do 10 of those.
It didn't take that long either, did it?
No.
I remember you sent me the pictures.
I legitimately don't think it would take me long to do 10 of those if I wanted to paint a Tyranid army. That guide, those schemes, kind of made it less daunting.
I mean, all my Tyranids are contrast.
Contrast is amazing.
Flesh Terror Red for the skin, and then I was using the Black Templar one for the carapace, but it comes up too grey, so I didn't end up using it.
Honestly, if I think
I'm going to be that guy. I don't like contrast.
For Flesh, I hated contrast until I started.
You're also the same person who says you don't use aim assist.
He's lying.
I
also used to hate contrast. When contrast came out and when they had the second range came out, I went to my local GW in Southampton and they had loads of this is where GW did a bad job in my opinion. They had loads and loads and loads of base coated Space Marines in the Grey Seer and the Wraithbone that you could put contrast on. Terrible models to put contrast on straight away.
They still have them.
Yeah.
In our Southampton one, I don't know if they do it in all of them, but in ours, in the glass cabinet, they have a bog standard Primaris Space Marine with all the contrast on. But problem is with the Space Marine, there's a lot of flat objects on it.
Exactly.
There's shoulder plates. Like you look at this model, like, oh, amazing. Oh, there's a lot of streaks on this.
If you're putting it on armour, it's a bad paint.
Flesh.
Unless you do something with it. Like again, Warhips goes through this on his guides. If you put it on, if they had the same thing but 10 termagants, they use all the flesh colours or all the fleshy areas, it would look much better.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it would look really, really good. So application's key though as well. You can put it on flat panels, and Josh shows you how to do that, but it's not what it's not on flat armour panels. It's not one coat done like you think it would be.
No.
100% isn't.
I watched someone doing a tutorial on contrast, and they put it direct onto it and then thinned it on the model.
Yeah.
And then when they thinned it, you basically pulled it across the armour panels into the corners, which kind of flattened it out. Gave it like a what's the picture saying when you've got like the black bit around the outside?
Like the vignette.
Yeah. It's almost like a vignette on armour. Oh, quite nice. Yeah. Thank you, Lord Mahis does stuff. Being 8k into Space Wolves army, I would love to put my army on hold. There's a reason it's named Plastic Crack. That's his first ever super chat. Thank you.
Oh, legend. Thank you so much, man.
I think you'll just wait till the new stuff comes out. I don't know what's coming out, but I'm just assuming that given what's happened to Dark Angels, I'm hoping that's going to happen to Blood Angels, will happen the same to Space Wolves. And you'll lose a bunch of stuff, and you'll gain a bunch of stuff.
Do you think they'll do that to both of those chapters in this edition, though?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, mate.
Because if you think about what they've done to Dark Angels, they got rid of all the old kits.
Most of the old kits. Black Knight still exist. It's an old kit.
Black Knight still exist, but the Ravenwing counterpart doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No, correct.
The Command Squad still exists. It's like they were like, we're going to get rid of one version of the kit, but keep another one.
The Landspeeder Vengeance, the Landspeeder, which is the same kit as the.
But they're unique.
Yeah.
Kind of weirdly unique vehicles, aren't they?
Yeah. So the Vengeance, the Dark Talon, and their counterparts, which are built with the same kit, and the Black Knights are the ones that survived.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Severe limiting though, isn't it? But they then get like, for instance, this is the other thing about bit like your collection's never going to finish. If you're a Dark Angels player 6 months ago, when they released the Azrael, Primaris Azrael,
Yeah.
with the Dark Mechanicum guy,
Vashtor,
and there was Deathwing Terminators come. You couldn't throw a stick in town without hitting a box of Deathwing Terminators. They're just everywhere. They were broken as shit. Everyone had 50 of them, and then Games Workshop were like, "Psych!" Off they go. New box set comes in.
I was going to mention this when you said it about it earlier, like when you said about you'll never stop collecting and stuff like that. I think one of the best times, like it's sad because then some people think you're just jumping on the bandwagon. But one of the best times to really collect an army, and if you really want to play it, is after the new codexes come out. So like for example, Tyranids, Space Marines now, or Dark Angels because it's the newest one.
Yeah.
Now's the best time to do it because you know for sure that what you buy now is going to be current.
Yeah.
Probably.
So, it's kind of like
Mostly.
85%.
Yeah,
it's going to be
Workshop
current.
also-
Whereas if you, like you just said, if you were doing it just before, you're like, I'm going all in with this, and then suddenly it means nothing.
What you tend to find as well is a trend that people don't really pick up on is that they make something really fucking good at the end of its life, and people buy a lot of
Oh, look
it.
at all this stock that's gone.
Yeah, look at all
Yeah.
this free space. Like, do you know what's really good right now for Blood Angels? It's priced incredibly low. Death Company with jump packs. Massively underpointed.
Yeet.
Can take power fists. So everyone that currently owned Blood Angels before had Thunderhammer. Death Company.
with an
Guess
F.
what? Shit now. Do you know what's really good? Power fist, melter pistol. So everyone's had to replace those models with these new ones. And then, all I'm guessing is they're going to get to the end of this edition's index, we'll get a new codex, off they pop, and we'll get new Death Company.
Yeah.
When in 9th edition, just before World Eaters came out, it was a very difficult time for me. So there's there's a few people we knew. There's a guy specific. I'm not going to name him.
Space Marine Scouts got really good. Off they
Yeah,
pop.
I'm not going to name him, but he was. I used to go to Factorum frequently and run events there as well. And he's a World Eaters lunatic. He loved World Eaters, and he just bought like 30 warp talons or something. You know who I'm talking about as well. He'd warp. I think it was warp
He
talons.
bought
wasn't it?
30 Warp Talons, 30 Raptors.
You're right. And I had play tested the World Eaters Codex, so I knew that they weren't in the Codex. So he bought 30 Raptors and 30 Warp Talons for his World Eaters for this cool list, and he bought them literally about a month before the Codex was due to drop. And I take my NDAs quite seriously, so I wasn't like, you should sell them.
See those? Don't do that.
But I was actually in pain watching it. Like, I feel really bad because in a month's time the Codex is going to drop and they're invalidate for you can't use them in World Eaters anymore.
Yeah,
And this is a pretty extreme circumstance because World Eaters went from being a Legion in the Chaos Space Marine book to being a complete standalone codex. So they were going to have a monumental shift in what they could and couldn't take for data sheets. But it is one of those moments that will always stick in my mind of like, GW, you bastards.
Do you know what was really good before the Space Marine Codex came out? Heresy vehicles.
Too soon, Joe! It's still too soon. Too soon, Joe.
Fucking level of rage that filled my body, right? My favourite vehicle of all time is the Leviathan Dreadnought.
We know.
I love it so much. Right? And I love Contempt Dreadnoughts. And they were really good for both armies. They had Volkite. Everyone was running Contempt Dreadnoughts with 2 Volkite things. It was a weirdly painful yet brilliant time. I'm like, yes, 2 Leviathan Dreadnoughts running around with those 30 terminals, great time. And they sold loads. And the Games Workshop were like, no. Off they go. We've sold enough. You know.
We did. Do you remember we did a stream in our old office
Honest to
about that one?
God, right? It was a sit and talk, which I don't tend to get involved with in your house, but it was a momentous occasion, right? I honestly thought we were going to get cancelled in 2 minutes.
We raged.
And I was trying really hard to be good cop, bad cop, but the fact that they got rid of all the Forge World units from my Chaos Space Marines, so like my Kaitan was gone, my new Dreadclaw drop pod was gone.
And what the stuff that made Chaos Space Marines fun?
Yeah, and what was mad was like because it was like the new edition kind of coming up as well, and they didn't release that information until so late. There's so many people like getting my Chaos Space Marines finished, getting my Blood Slaughterers done, or Ultramarines players like, oh, I've finished my March from a Crag. I've got my 3 Leviathans, got my 3 Contemptors, so ready for the new edition. Got my Falchion done.
So on that particular, I've got 2 things to say, but on that first one, the worst part about that was I was talking to people at Warhammer Worlds, staff members, who were saying, please make lots of noise about this, we don't agree with it. So even GW themselves weren't happy with the decision to remove all those units, which I thought was quite interesting. But secondly, literally 3 weeks ago, I reckon, I was like, I talked to you about the World Eaters. I was like, what I might do if I actually get to a point where I'm happy with the World Eaters is I might build a Chaos Space Marine army, but paint them World Eaters colours so I have access. Because World Eaters should have Havocs. Because narratively, they have fucking Havocs. That's a thing that exists in your books, Games Workshop. Anyway, so I was like, let's have a look at what's available to World Eaters on Chaos Space Marines on the website. The range, I don't want to make you sad, Joe, because I know you're a Chaos Space Marine player. The range is a bit shit on the whole for Chaos Space Marines. And I feel like access to all the heresy stuff made the range a lot more interesting.
And narrative sense.
Yeah, and you were able to build more of a Chaos Legion. Yeah. And then when they took that all away and I look what's left, I'm like, this is just a bit sad.
Yeah, they're just like, here's just shit to Space Marine.
Basically.
Here's just Space Marines, but the units just aren't as good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sam, to be clear, we 100% allow legends on this channel.
Yeah.
If anybody turns up to play, any one of the lads turns up to play and they bring legends units, they are 100% allowed.
You actually got some in your Chaos.
I have got Leviathans. Obviously, I've got the Scorpion. We've got the Khitan. We've got all the stuff. But finding the information for legends is such a ball.
I actually am going. Do you know what I'm going to do? This is straight up something I was thinking about 3 weeks ago when I was looking at the Chaos Space Marines. I was like, the only way I make it make sense to me would be to use Legends units from Heresy units, right? I'm genuinely going to buy a fucking printer, not a 3D one, an actual printer.
Yeah.
So we find the rule, print it.
Yeah.
And then I know where it is, because it'll be what we'll do is we'll print a folder of Legends data sheets, because that's what we have to do, basically. And the thing is with Legends data sheets as well, they're not going to change, because GW have stated they will not update
because of the heresy thing. I know people from the really soured people from the 9th to 10th that just quit 40k, because they were like people like, I love heresy, I love 40k, I play White Scars. Like, I'm really excited for the new edition. I love Space Marine. Oh, I can't use any of my units. I just won't play 40k anymore.
I
just play Heresy.
I really wish they put Legends data sheets in the app as well. I don't feel like it'd be that hard because they will never need to be updated. You just create it once and leave it alone.
Yeah, and even if it's just in its own, like, don't have to even put it into every single index for every army. Just have at the bottom of the army list, just like
Legends.
Legends.
Yeah. They've got allies. Just have Legends.
Yeah.
Just underneath that.
Because like the AOS app actually has that. Has its own little section. If I remember, obviously tell me if I'm wrong, but the AOS app actually has
they can't charge money for it, so
its own little section.
they won't be able to charge money for it, so they won't.
Anywho, we fully allow Legends.
You bought a Dimicarian. Do you remember that? You were so excited when you bought that Dimicarian.
Yeah, he's still in the box at the
I was
moment.
about to say, this is on the shelf.
I still go, but I'm going to use him as a Norn emissary.
Yeah, makes sense.
About the same size, roughly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use it as that instead because it looks cooler than a Norn emissary. The Norn emissary is a beautiful model in itself.
We've
still got the Hierogel, because I use the barbed Hierogel all the time.
Yeah.
It's called Schooner.
We allow Legends because fuck it, we're having fun here on the channel. That's the whole point. And actually coming away from, because for a while we were like, we have to use the latest balanced data slate. We can't use Legends units. We have to basically keep up with what's going on in the tournament scene. And then I sat back and I was like, but why?
I was actually eyeing up that Dimicarian the other day. I was like, ooh.
Fucking hands off, that's expensive that. But I was like, but why? Why did we do that? And it's like, we actually don't need to. We're trying to represent the everyman playing 40k rather than the competitive player who wants to come top 3 in a GT.
Yeah.
So we can play with Legends, we can enjoy ourselves and just take units we want and run lists like the 4 named Greater Demons, which is fucking cool. Is it competitive? Is it shit? Is it fun and cool? It is.
That was a great one to watch.
Yeah, it's a cool list.
Yeah.
100%. Absolutely. Anyway, next.
Sir Galahad Grail Hunter, just give Joe a talking head show every day for an hour of him just talking about anything. Just let the man ramble for the benefit of our mental health. Do not ever change, Joe. Thank you. That wasn't me. I didn't send that in. But thank you. I'd do it. About anything. Just give me a title.
You'd have to come here, though. Every day for an hour stream.
If that's what the people want.
Are you not entertained?
At which point it needs to become financially viable for us because we pay your expenses every time you drive here.
I can do it from home.
No, you can't.
Get a little backdrop, mate.
Absolutely
in the corner
not.
of my house.
Absolutely
Why
not?
not?
Because I don't trust you touching it when I'm supervising you.
It's just so scary. That's the problem. It's just buttons and numbers and
Ones and zeros and zeros and
I
ones.
can do it on my phone, like everyone else.
No, you can't.
Yeah?
You 100%
Like
you can.
everybody
Yeah,
else.
on your own channel.
100% you can do that, Joe. Yeah, launch your own Joe show on your own channel. No one uses mobile to make
It's a
content
bit
on YouTube
obnoxious to
anymore,
have
Joe.
my name as the title, though, isn't it?
Yeah, really fucking obnoxious. Yeah.
Thank you, Stick Monkey. Warhammer completed it, mate.
Lies.
Leaks Veeks.
Lies.
Thank you for the super chat. It says the detachment system is sales genius for Games Workshops. Makes me want to buy more so I can run my army in multiple different ways.
Yeah, which is what I was
Which
saying
I'm
earlier.
which I'm kind of into it though. Like we've been talking about this with some of the other armies. So I was looking at I've been looking at Dark Angels quite a lot, right? And you've got a number of different detachments in the Dark Angels Codex. You've got the three. You've got Green Wing, you've got Deathwing, you've got Raven Wing. I like the fact that, and this is controversial for some people, but I like the fact that my Samael and Ravenwing unit that Joe decided to kill into one, that I ran on Tuesday, got no benefits from the detachment or from, because they're not Deathwing. Like, I think that's cool. And I think that they're saying you can take it. You can take Ravenwing units in your Deathwing detachment if you want to. They don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
Like, I actually like that. And I like the concept of, for the channels at least, in the future, getting to a point where I'm running a Ravenwing detachment today, and I'm 100% Ravenwing across the board, because I really want to optimize what my detachment can do. So there's no point, despite how good they are, putting Deathwing Knights in the army.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely a huge fan of that, and I like it quite a lot. So I actually think that's, not only is it a good sales tactic, and I think it is a good sales tactic, but I'm actually into it as a whole concept as well.
Oh, it's brilliant. I think it's like, obviously I run my Flesh Terrors in the Blood Angels detachment, but the other day I was like, got 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, I got a bunch of Flamer Marines at home. I could do the Flamethrower detachment. You know, it would be great. But also, like, what I find a little bit mad is like there's not more. Like, they haven't released more in White Dwarf or like a random Warhammer community post about here's a new, I don't know, AdMech detachment that's not shit, right? Fill your boots, mate. They did it for Drakari.
Yeah.
Drakari went from the worst army in the game to mid-board with 1 detachment release. Right, and a few little rules changes, tiny little rules changes. So why haven't they gone, right, you're a guard player, right? You're not even on the calendar, right? Here's a new detachment. Here's 2 new detachments, right? Here, obviously, you've got the current one, which is just a little bit like, here's your artillery car park. Here's one that points towards Scions and...
I feel like they don't ever give out one more
veterans.
simply because they want to make the codex still value for
Yeah,
money.
but like, what if they go? If the codex is already written and done, they go, here's one that's going to be in it, done, kind of thing. Here's a new guard attachment. Here's a new chaos attachment. Here's a new custodes attachment. Just to freshen, give people that aren't going to get a codex for a while something new, so they don't feel left out.
Would you rather have a new codex attachment or a different way of playing in set of missions?
I think I'd go for the latter. I really do.
I'd want the detachment
See, I'd go for the latter. I'd go for more missions instead.
because the problem is the current.
I'd rather have variety than just change the wheel every
But
time.
the thing about the card system is that not every game is identical, and you can create your own missions. You can change the way that you play, but like for instance, my Chaos Space Marines, I'm fixed in the way. Like there is a good way to play my detachment and a lot more bad ways to play my detachment. I'd love a new detachment that wasn't so much of emphasis on the Dark Pact.
Do you not think that? I take your point. I see where you're coming from. I don't disagree.
Because if you went to a tour, like when you go to an event, all guard armies are the same.
But do you not think though, if the mission pack changed, so there was less of a focus on anything actions related, less of a focus on you holding a home objective, more of a focus on complete random objective grabbing a la old Maelstrom of War, that would also have a significant impact on people's list building and how they build lists.
Yeah.
Would also freshen it up quite a lot, but also by doing that mission change is something that impacts every faction, including codexes that currently exist.
Yeah.
That's why I would go down the mission route personally. I really want them to bring back an actual proper Maelstrom, because the secondary mission deck for Leviathan is good and it's okay for competitive, but it's not Maelstrom of War. No matter what they tell you, it's not Maelstrom.
But at the same time, armies that have between 5 and 7 or 5 and 8 detachments can do that better than the ones that have 1.
Well, I mean, if you're a Dark Angels player, you have the access to 10 detachments.
Yeah, so you have access to 10, which means that your ability to play a different play style of mission is better, because you go, cool, I won't take the current detachment I have, I'm currently using, I'll just take a different detachment.
What's Necrons?
A guard
Necrons
player
5
doesn't
detachments.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of the same coin, say for example, like the 10 for Dark Angels. So now, if you then bring in a new way of playing, or even just another variation of it that is an option, you've now got a different way to play all 10 of those that you're already familiar with.
Yeah, but you've got 10, and everyone else has got 1.
No, this is just an example. Like, say for example, you've got 3 detachments, right? So that's now you've got a new set of rules to play all those 3 attachments you've already got stuck equipment for.
Yeah, I think that's
that
what
you can now be like, okay, so I've got this something that I'm really familiar with, but I've got to think about it in a whole different way to try and play a whole new game. It's like a whole new experience. Whereas if you just keep throwing new detachments, all that is, well, we've got 6 detachments now, but this new one is the best one, so those other 5 can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, this is the best one for playing Leviathan. I'm just going to play that one.
Yeah, but
how many people playing the old Zakrari detachment?
How many people bring Crusher Stampede for Tyranids?
No one brings Crusher Stampede.
But this is my point. but if you've got new rules, or another, like not replacing the rules, but you've got a new way of, or a new set, that might be then apps that, like, for example, the Crusher Stampede might be the best way to do it.
It won't.
No, but you.
This is terrible. But you'd be like, but Pete, I run. The problem is that not all detachments are built equal.
They're not. No.
If you look at the Tyranid Codex, the best.
That was just an example.
The best detachment in the Tyranid Codex is the Invasion Swarm, which was the index one, because it doesn't matter what mission you're playing, it just gives you the best options, right? If you're a current Tau player now, your detachment is terrible.
What, Montcar under Carry On?
Yeah.
I think it's terrible.
Because you don't get any army benefits until turn 3.
And
your
then
entire army has to stand there and just hide.
And then everything gets sustained, but it's double sustained if you're guided.
If you talk to any Tau player, right, your army is dead by then.
The Tau players. The Tau players, they whinge anyway.
I know, but like you have to, like Tau have to give their opponent the entire table. They have to commit everything at the back of the board because they're not getting any benefits until turn 3, and then they turn up and kill stuff. But they've lost the game then because they're not holding the table. Guard, their new detachment, or their current
right.
Guard's current detachment basically says stand still.
So you give your opponent the table, so you lose the game immediately because of the mission.
Yeah, but the mission's always going to be hold objectives. It's
Well,
always going to be go here, do this.
But it's not, so Maelstrom of War was you didn't have any requirement to hold 1, hold more, hold 2, hold 3. You had no requirement at all. You just drew cards and it said go get objective 6, kill a character, and do a psychic action. Right. So if you had a Maelstrom mission system, the Tau detachment arguably is then no longer that garbage, because your concern right now is I have to give my opponent the table for 2 turns. They hold all the objectives, they get loads of points, and so I can't win. So if you change the mission, so that's not how you get the points, then Tau Codex is Tau detachment is no longer a problem.
If you pull a card which is go hold that objective over there at turn 1, you're like, no, because I can't kill my way there.
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
All detachments. I think what I'm worried about currently with the current way of playing is the fact that like there are a lot more armies with 1 detachment.
But it's because we got indexed.
Yeah.
That's just because
it's still. I mean, people
are still young.
People are moaning about that, but I mean, I remember when we went from 7th to 8th edition, and we didn't have any detachments at all. You just had index data sheets, no stratagems, no fucking detachments, no army rule, no detachment rule. Here's your data sheets. And halfway through that edition, people were still on their index. Whilst everyone else had full codexes with 85 million
index book.
Yeah, with multi-million pages of stratagems. Like this. We're in a significantly better place than we were 7th to 8th.
Oh yeah, but at that time, everyone had access to the same detachment.
It was a combined arms detachment. That was it.
They had the Vanguard detachment, the Outrider detachment, the support detachment.
Yeah,
battalion.
But it doesn't matter though. That doesn't balance the fact that army.
But they had. The fact that I didn't have all the stratagems still meant that they could build their armies in different ways.
Well, the thing is that 8th edition was basically built on stratagem usage.
It was. Well, I'm not arguing about that, but what I'm saying is about now in the current state of things, like as a guard player, right? Like you only get your army benefit if you stand still,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're a Space Marine player, you can if you don't have any detachments, you still get O for moment,
Yeah.
right? So you can still move around, you can still do stuff, and then you still get to reroll all your hits versus a chosen unit.
Yeah. And if you're a guard player and you have no detachment, you still get orders.
Which is-
But
let's be honest, the only order is take aim.
I mean, it
There
is.
are no other orders.
It literally is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if guard had one, your entire army gets assault.
I think I've used 2 different orders to take aim, each of them on one occasion.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
take aim, take aim, take aim, take aim, take aim.
I would rather have a new detachment for all the armies that only have one attachment.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, I'm afraid. Unless they're struggling. Like Admech, I can see it happening, despite the fact they've already got Codex. I think they need to be really struggling for GW to do that. I don't think they will. Because why are we going to give away content that we can charge for?
But
Yeah.
I'm not being cynical, and I'm not being critical, but why would they give away
But
content
From
we
a
can charge
business
for?
standpoint, it
but
would
not
make no sense.
everyone plays the card system, right? So if they release new cards, not everyone's going to buy it. But if you release in a detachment for every army in the game that only has one detachment, you know that those people are going to be buying new units.
That's an irrelevant argument as well. So if you've got 100 players, right, and they bring out a new card system, right, there's 10 armies, there's 100 players. Each army is played by 10 players, okay? But you bring out a new card system, 50 people are interested, 50 people buy that card system. But you bring out a new detachment for one of those armies, only 10 people buy that detachment. And they won't charge for the detachment anyway. Like they didn't charge for that detachment with Drukhari. They gave it out as a balance update, so it's free.
Yeah.
But
But you got to think about the Goldilocks zone.
fuck off! That's not even a thing.
That's how I win my argument.
That's
The
not even a
Goldilocks
thing.
zone.
It's not Goldilocks zone. It's not even a Stu Black thing. I found out that he took that from competitive chess.
He took it from Goldilocks. And the bears.
Anywho,
Right.
more to get to. Exclamation mark gift. And we've got just 30 new members on the Liam and Joe show. I'm going to hold that awkward silence.
This whole thing is moot. He's going to beat me because I argued with him. Right. Thank you, Stick Monkey, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Adrian. For 5 gifted memberships. I thought about reading his whole name.
No,
but
so
then
you've got to read his whole name. You've made a thing of it now.
Thank you, Adrian, Mihai, Zamuruvuna.
Adrian Mihal Zamafrescu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adrian! Thank you, Bull Hayward, for becoming a skald all on his own.
All on himself.
All on himself.
What a legend. Thank you very much.
You don't get the name Bull very often, do you?
Bull?
The only Bull I know is the one from Band of Brothers.
Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a fucking great character.
He was really great. And then
He went to Walking Dead.
He went to Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Didn't age for 60 years.
Yeah.
And then lived for a zombie
And
apocalypse.
he turned up in Walking Dead, and me and Luce was like, "It's Bull."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, White55, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Sam Deacon, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Tony Winnick, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Sammy G. Beard looks much better with the trim.
Fun fact, Joe, it's your fault. For like 3 weeks, was like, I really want to trim it down. It's got too long and unruly. I think it looks ugly. I'm starting to get some beard dandruff and stuff. I want to trim it down. I was a chicken. I was too terrified of doing it.
Yeah.
And then you posted fit young picture of Joe in the WhatsApp chat with tidy beard, and I was like, well, actually, and then I did it that night.
Yeah. You don't have the body of Fit Young Joe.
I don't have the body of fit young Joe, no.
Fit Young Joe was great. I miss him.
Literally-
Someone's calling me.
Literally
Someone's
4 years ago.
calling, yeah.
Hang on.
I'm going to hang up.
From London, England. Go away.
Decline.
There you go. Declined.
Yeah. He was wonderful. I miss him. Thank you, Jonathan De Silva,
Me too.
for the poo.
Thank you for the poo, John. Love you.
Thank you, Tox Trio. Says, me and my mates / LGS are working on faction secondary. 3 per faction is what we are aiming. When playing tactical, you take out 3 and replace them. And when playing fixed, you can take 1, not both.
I like that concept.
I really like it. The difficult thing is just balancing them.
Yeah.
Because
I like, but there is a degree of balancing in there by saying
you don't have to take it.
you take 3 out of your secondary deck and put 3 in,
Yeah.
and then if you want to take fix, you can only take one of them. That's kind of a way of balancing it.
David-
The problem they had with the secondaries in 9th edition was some people. I remember when World Eaters got their secondaries. I get 45 points on my secondary for existing on the table. Was not good.
That was
Right?
so dumb.
And I was
The
like,
Sisters one, gain faith points,
yeah.
which you gain like 4 or 10.
Thanks. I've got secondary points too. Yeah. So like World Eaters was like, oh, you've just killed my unit. Thank you for my secondary points. And it wasn't good. That wasn't good, right? But and then other armies, it was like read secondaries, and you're like, how am I ever going to achieve that with this army?
Yours was kill units, be killed by units,
Yeah.
stand on objective,
And get
either
killed.
kill stuff or be killed. Right?
Yeah.
Like the Raven Guard one was go hold an objective, plant a bomb in it, run away. Someone runs onto it, and if it explodes, you have to kill someone.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So like that's the problem as well, right? Secondaries, much like detachments, not all were created equally. So I feel like the way that they've implemented it into the current Leviathan deck in that super chat is quite nice.
Yeah.
Like I think that kind of makes it a bit more balanced because you can't just go, well, I'm just going to take all 3 World Eaters ones and max my secondary
I
points.
think like you could like lean into the detachment. So like the Space Wolf one, kill characters with characters.
Yeah.
That's a good secondary.
But didn't you whinge that killing characters with characters was too difficult?
When I read the rules. And then I was like, how do I balance this in my favour? I take 9 characters and then make the mission all about having characters and objectives. Right. Thank you, War Master Will. Been playing Guard for so long, I'm meta now.
You're always meta, Will, in my heart.
You
Miss
are.
you, by the way.
Yeah, I saw him at Beachhead.
I haven't seen Will for ages. I miss Will.
Yeah, I like him, but not his way of storing models. Thank you, Sir Galahad, Grail Hunter. He stores his resin, Krieg, infantry, in a biscuit tin.
And there's no like
Just
foam.
80 infantry.
It's literally into the tin, lid on.
Painted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Bold move.
Resin painted.
No varnish. No.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
Wow.
Literally.
Not even a paper towel in sight.
No.
Oh dear.
No.
Wow.
That's for my tears.
Willow says, you'll say you'll never finish, but I've got 2 armies left. I'll get there this decade. You won't, Willow, because they'll bring more stuff out. They'll just bring more stuff out. You're like, oh, fuck, there's another army out.
Yeah. They'll be like, you'll just be sat there and and then Warhammer community on a Sunday will be like, here's our releases for next weekend. And you're like, oh, that's pretty. I'll buy that because it's a nice model. Oh, I've got an undead army now.
Oh my God, I'm getting tired. I need to eat. I'm hungry.
Thank you, Kev Thacker, for 5 gifted memberships.
Is that up to 36 now?
Tis. Right,
Amazing.
thank you, Kazarian, appreciating that you're having loads of fun in 40k. Is AOS still on the horizon?
Now, there is some AOS being played on the channel this month. And we're going to be replacing a 40k stream with an AOS stream and potentially having a bonus AOS stream as well. And that is going to happen at the end of this month because Mr. the Hipster is coming down here for a few days to make content, and he's predominantly an AOS player. So we're going to use and abuse him and play some AOS on the channel. However, don't get excited that then means weekly AOS releases because there is a lot of rumours in the AOS world right now. None of them confirmed, obviously. There's a lot of rumours in the AOS world about a new version coming out this year some point. Now, if you think about the 3-year release cycle of 40k, and of other systems as well, it is probably a correct assumption that AOS will revamp. What I don't want to do is put a literal shit ton of time into developing scoreboards and like when we play with Warhits, we're probably not going to have a scoreboard chat because I don't know how we do this and have a scoreboard because it might change for a new edition.
I'll walk across with the secondaries cards like a ring girl, like.
In a bikini.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Right. So we are we're going to be bringing it to the channel shortly, but then there'll be a pause until we know what the fuck's going on with this new edition. Because then Joe and I will put time into learning an edition if it's a new one, right? So that's kind of where we're at with it. So 100% we want to bring it, but it's new. We think it's new edition year, and I don't want to get everything ready, build a scoreboard, blah 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 blah, launch. Oh, it's changed. We've got to change everything.
Yeah. On a side note, a gaming Stuka says, can Solar Auxilia be used in 40k? Yes.
Asgard.
Asgard. You just use the infantry squads as Just your basic lasmen. And then your tanks are just the tanks. Lehman Russ is Lehman Russ. A basilisk is a basilisk. Medusa is a Medusa.
You've got -3 minutes to gift 64 memberships.
Yeah. They've got 3 versions of the Sentinel in Solar Auxilia. 3. We only get 2.
Cool. Right. Well, okay.
Crumpets Panda! Thank you for the super chat. It feels strange, but I'm not willing to buy any models at the moment for 40k due to my next army being Emperor's Children. I almost got Big Fulgrim.
Big Fulgrim is very pretty.
I mean, if your plan is to do Emperor's Children, just get him anyway. It's a nice model to paint.
He's a beautiful model.
So pretty.
What about the Fulgrim? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think like if you're saving up now, just save up like $1,000 and put it in a jar and then bury it in the garden.
Nice purple and gold jar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then tell us where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For no reason.
I like Emperor.
And send me a little map.
I'm not going to read off the here anymore because it's on the telly. Sir Galahad Grail Hunter, I'm so much more interested in the old world at the moment. It's so much fun. I just need more armies for sale. When will we be treated to an old world report?
This is an interesting question. Thank you for the 10, man. You're a legend. Here's an interesting question, though, because I have strong opinions on this. I think the old world release is turning into a bit of a fail on GW's part. And the reason why I think that is because of how hard it is to get hold of anything to be able to play it.
Yes.
So I feel like this incredibly slow, monumentally snail-like release of anything rules-wise for other factions or models-wise for other factions potentially is going to murder what could have been a immensely big release for GW in general. Now, Joe is working on a Bretonian army, and he's getting given actual work time to work on a Bretonian army, all right? So that's going to be the first one we've got done. At that point, in terms of, we have a Bretonian army, and that's not enough to play a game.
Yeah. And then it'll be High Elves.
And then, once that's done, and remembering he said he can paint 2,000 points in 2 weeks.
Not well.
It doesn't matter what you said on this stream. I get all the models done, and I paint it all in 2 weeks. They're all done now, so 2 weeks. Once that's done, you said that. I said, once you've got a full-time job, and you went, yeah. So once that's done, there's then he's backed himself into a corner, hasn't he?
I could paint an army in 2 weeks. It won't be. You'll complain more than you currently do.
I didn't think it's possible. And then there'll be High Elves, and then once that's done, we'll get an army together. We'll get it played. I personally, not from a channel or a content perspective, I personally am incredibly excited for playing the game of Old World.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people about Old World because they've had some very good eyes, and they're really excited about it. But I said the mad thing about this Old World release is they've released 2 army boxes, and then they've not been able to create enough units for the 2 armies that they've released for them to constantly be on sale. So and they're not even all the units that you can run in your army. Bretonians, for example, can't get a lord on a griffin, which he can in the book. You can't get hold of trebuchets, for instance. So you don't even have access to everything that's in those books. And then if you want to do any other army, you have to buy it secondhand.
I feel like they're almost encouraging people to go and visit the infamous 3D printers. That you would think, logically, GW would be dead against.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that I know who have gone to 3D printers for old world models, who have never bought anything 3D in the past.
Yeah.
But now they literally don't have any option.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's out of stock on the GW website. It flat isn't available.
Yeah.
So they've gone to 3D printers and they've gone, and this is where the danger is, I think. And maybe this is a tiny percentage. But this is where the danger is. They've gone, oh, this is actually really nice. I've never used a 3D printer before. This is really nice. That's a dangerous place for people to be.
I have been looking at units for armies, 3D printed for Old World. I'm like, these are stunning.
Yeah.
These are beautiful.
Yeah.
And what's bad is Rob, the Honest Wargamer, he's got his other channel, which is Square based. They've got 5 events this year all lined up. There's not for the next 6 months, right? All sold out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? That is money that could be in games work because these people have had to get their armies from somewhere.
Yep.
They're not all just running Tomb King. They're not all running Tomb King. One of the ones is the one I'm going to is a team event.
Yep.
And you can't be running the same army. So 2 of those armies might be Bretonians and Tomb Kings. The other 2 have to be something else.
Yep.
Right? And those people have to give money to someone. Right? And normally it's going to be some guy on eBay or a 3D printer or someone on Facebook Marketplace as they kind of scrounge an army together. That's money that could have been lying in Games Workshop's pocket.
It just seems like an odd decision to release a brand new massive game and then drip feed the content out that you need to play the game. Just seems like an odd decision to me.
Yeah, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah,
I haven't read the rules yet because I haven't finished the army.
I've read some of the rules. It's old fantasy that we loved with some of the shit that we didn't like taken out and some other stuff put back in. It's good.
I kind of feel like if they'd gone, we're going to release each faction, one faction a month. And then at least that way people go, I'm going to get my army in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And then I go, I'll do this army now, knowing. If they went, here is 12 months, these are the ones, and this is the order we're going to do. Someone goes, I really like High Elves, that's coming in 6 months' time. I'm going to start a Bretonian army now because I can get it done. And then I've got 2 armies.
Road mapping and communication is a thing we've talked about for loads, though, Joe, and I don't think it's ever going to change, so we'll see. But hey. Anyway, chat, you people have been amazing. I am hungry and we have to prep for this evening. I still don't know what I'm going to take yet. The Thanes have told me I should take Imperial Knights.
Imperial Knights against
Drakari? Yeah, that's what it told me to take.
Quick game's a fun game, I suppose.
Well,
Just going to hide.
I can see Joe's head. He's thinking about how to do the terrain now. So
Right. I almost wish you hadn't told me.
I'm not going to run Imperial Knights.
Okay, because I like to go WYSIWYG. My name is not Eddie or Brom, right? And most of the stuff that we have for Drakari has got haywire blasters on it. So I might just forget to shoot some of my units for a turn.
I'm not going to play Knights because I don't really want to play Knights at the moment.
I think you should bring Sisters.
But when they said bring Knights, I instantly was like, well, I've got all those heresy ones to build as well that are oddly still legal.
You could do Space Wolves.
Yeah, I was thinking Space Wolves and Sisters.
Space Wolves is a possible. Space Wolves is a possible.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Liam, Joe and Kyle show. You're amazing. So Galahad, thank you for that gifted right at the end. It puts us up to 37 members. It's like you don't care about us. We're going to have to hand the studio back.
Not you, Galahad, because he's given quite a few.
Not
There's
you in particular.
218 other people watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have a studio to pay for, team, right? At the end. But thank you so much for hanging out with us anyway. You guys are amazing. As always, hopefully you'll come and join us at 7:30 this evening for another live game of 40k. Drakari versus something. I don't know yet. I don't know what I want to. What I want to play is World Eaters. There's been a lot of them lately, so I feel like I need to bring something different.
I've not bought Guard for a while.
So I'm thinking about bringing. Space Wolves, but I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see. But you guys have been amazing. Thank you for all the gifteds. If you've been gifted a membership, !Discord, come and join us in the Great Hall server. Everything's obviously linked below as well. Thank you for all the super chats. I think that's everything. I'm hungry. We need to go and eat somewhere. We're going to go eat. Joe's going to set that table. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Have a wonderful time.